Wilson, and I'm 29 years old from Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm applying for my Masters of Arts in Choreography. I got into choreography while I was studying dance at York University in Toronto, and through those courses and through some of the experimentation we were asked to do, I was able to find within myself a genuine desire to create and to choreograph in different ways, and to find different modes of inspiration, different ways to be inspired to be able to choreograph movement and not just with technical movement. My most recent pieces of work with the company is a trio called Effects. I guess in this dance they're trying to find the function of anything, the function of life, the function of whatever is into it. That they're constantly looking for something. In life you're always, and in the end of the dance they don't ever actually find anything. They come very close to finding things in the dance, but they don't ever really find a solution. I've been recently working on continuing the dance from where it left off after it was performed. And my struggle right now is deciding between whether they should eventually find the answer or if they should continue looking. I'm leaning towards not finding the answer, mostly because in life you just really don't find a complete answer for anything. And as a dancer and choreographer, I always feel like if you're satisfied with something, then you're not trying hard enough. So you always want to search for more and reach for more and find it. Maybe it was an emotionally taxing work. While I was choreographing it, I didn't realize how much the story was about my own life. And I think subconsciously I knew that, but I probably chose to not admit it at the time. But the piece focuses on the different emotional stages that each person is going to face at one point in their life. From life, general life, and the happening of life and birth, to new beginnings, which is also a part of birth. Strife and struggle, all the struggles and the tribulations that we face on a daily basis. Everybody has their own cross to bear. Loss, I've lost a lot of close family members and friends throughout my life, and so loss played a significant role in that piece. Isolation, where through loss of a parent and loss of friends, I have felt isolated on many occasions when I was younger, and I really had to struggle to find my place within my friends and within my family. And I think when you feel isolated, you don't realize that A, you can be isolating others, and B, that there are others who feel the same way. And so in isolation, I purposely juxtaposition the thought of being alone with having the entire company on stage. And then moved on to Triumph, which was a huge change from being so within oneself and then having to overperform and make the audience feel that genuine joy. And every time something good happens since then, I always go back to Triumph and I say, oh well, if this had happened then I would have fixed this in Triumph, I would have done this a different way. So as a choreographer, it's hard to not go back to something, because I always feel like your work is never done. You choreograph something and you have a deadline, or it has to be performed by this date, and you let it go on stage in that moment, and then literally while it's happening you think of ways of how you can make it better, how you can change this. And for me it's always based on experiences, so it's not necessarily, oh, I would have changed that foot or I would have changed that hand, but I've changed how I explain this based on the situation, so that the dancer would have gotten the feel of that more. That was the second half of the show, and the first half of the show was A See a Woman's Spell, which was choreographed to the music of a Trinidadian-born, American-based jazz musician, A.T.M. Charles. It was an idea that came about because we had done work recently where we had to represent the work of the famous painter Jean-Michel Casaubon. Story of a woman whose husband had left her and her 3 children, and she was struggling to find a way to find money to take care of these 3 children. And from that little poem, I made up this full story of her. Eventually, I changed the story to having 1 child, and she went to the CEO woman, or the OBO woman, as you might be more familiar with, to find a way that she could possibly sell the child to the OBO woman and make money so that she can take care of herself, and in the hopes of eventually getting the child back. But even the OBO woman, even the CEO woman, found that was something that was just so preposterous that you could sell your own flesh and blood just for some money. And so the OBO woman cast a spell on her in the middle of the village and froze her for 100 years. My Other Me is the first duet I choreographed. It's based once again a lot on my own personal experiences. You see yourself as one thing, but society sees you as something else. Or you see yourself as one thing, and then you realize that you might be someone else. And so My Other Me is an exploration of who you are inside as opposed to who you are when you look at yourself in the mirror. So My Other Me is in essence a solo because it's really one person, but you see it as a duet because it's the one person and the split personality dancing to this struggle. In the end of the dance, they come together and they tie their heads together, and when you look at it, you feel as if they've forgiven each other, but you're not sure which road they've chosen to continue on. Am I going to choose to stop my vices, stop my drug addiction, stop my sex addictions, or whatever it is that's holding me back? Or am I going to choose to drop those, leave those behind, and move forward as this more positive, forward-thinking person? So again, none of the questions are answered, and that's what I enjoy about choreography as well, that you get to leave the audience with something to think about. Lost and Found is the solo of Lost and Found is someone who is in a situation where they once thought this was for them, and they realize that they've just become suffocated and buried by the situation, and they need to find a way out. For me, it's my decision to work at primary school. I genuinely never enjoyed teaching children, but I am not okay with the constraints, the restrictions of the new syllabus that the ministry has put out, where they're now trying to include arts into the regular curriculum. And so because of that, I felt like I've lost my voice creatively in school, and I've just been looking for a way out. And this dance is me exploring that feeling of really and truly just wanting to get out. Later on in the dance, more dancers come on in the dance, and you see from them, you see that they start to feel bogged down by whatever their career choices are as well. And for whatever reason, by the end of the dance, they choose to strip themselves of that struggle, of that feeling, and free themselves. They don't have necessarily found what it is they want to do, but they've decided that that is not it. That's also the reason why I felt strongly about applying for my master's in choreography, because I feel like I do want to explore choreography more, and I do want to go further in my career as a choreographer, and I can't do that from the same place. I need to have more experiences. I need to expose myself to different teachers, different styles, different everything, different people, a different community, a different place to sleep. And this program, after I did my summer course there, this program feels like a good place where I'll be challenged and I'll be pushed to see choreography through different eyes. Even if it's eyes I may not like, it might be eyes that I would respect. I would also be able to share my views of choreography with whoever I'm surrounded by. This to me is a big step in the right direction to continue creating and continue challenging myself and continue challenging my dancers. Just to continue being me and choreographing every day and all day.